Whoa. Well, hi there, Tony.
Hey, you could edit this later though, I
Oh
assume,
yeah,
right?
I can. We
Yeah.
can. I'll send you the whole thing, but we can edit it later. Um,
I don't like Tony. You call me TG. TG
TG,
Rossi. Yeah. Just like I went through high school. It's better. TG
TG.
Rossi.
Okay,
We have TG Rossi.
TG Rossi. Okay.
Or I like better
What?
is Antoni Gene.
Antony Gene.
That I'm using that for my art, Antoni
Wow.
Gene. Good, it's
Antony.
cool.
Yeah, Antony Gene. I gotta write that down, otherwise I'll forget.
Antony.
Antony Gene.
Like an ant, Tony.
Antony Gene.
I once made a little picture card. It said it had an ant, and
Antony Gene.
it had a toe, and it had a knee. Somebody picture pointing towards a knee. Ant, toe, knee.
Yeah, Antony.
It's kind of funny. I like it though. It spells cool. It looks better. I don't never like the name Tony, as you know. So
Yeah.
Anthony Jean's fine.
Well, Tony's fine too. But anyway, that's just your
Jean,
call.
clean Jean.
Clean Gene. Oh, I like that too. Clean Gene. Anyway,
Yeah. So let's go. Let's start again. You could say we have Anthony Jean here from Tokyo, Japan.
oh, greetings, everyone. We have Antony Gene.
Oh, start again. Start again.
Anthony Gene.
That's good. Start one more time.
Anthony Gene. Greetings, everybody. We got Anthony Gene here today from Japan. And I've been having several people ask me about actually buying homes in Japan and for a vacation home or to retire or just an investment or just to escape, whatever, whatever the reason. And so I thought I would ask him some questions and he might have some answers
Sure.
for us.
Yeah.
Would you have
Hope
some
I
answers,
can.
Anthony Jean? That's
I
beautiful.
hope you never know. I've been here
Oh,
a long time now, off and on, maybe 30 years. I've traveled to Japan many times before I made the leap to live here.
that's
That was
great.
about 25 years ago. So I've been through a lot. Living here, I have a lot of experience about that. But
Uh-huh. Cool. And let's see. Well, why don't we get right into it? I got a whole bunch of questions here that people
sure,
have been
go.
asking me.
Yeah,
They're
go.
dying.
Yeah,
You know, let's see here. Let me get the okay. Well, actually, they're not necessarily in the order of importance, but
yeah,
they're just
sure.
questions. You
Shoot.
know, why if someone's looking at going to different places anywhere, well, why is it better to buy than rent in Japan, would you say?
Well, I think it's very hard. When we first came here, it was very hard to rent something because they're very fussy about renting to foreigners. There are some places in Tokyo that deal with foreigners, but we were in Kamakura, which is a little south of Tokyo, more of a resort town. They're really funny. Once they don't see the name Suzuki or Sato or something, they don't like it,
Hmm.
and they won't show you the right properties, and they'll charge you more, and they make you pay more money up front, and they just don't trust foreigners. They think they're going to leave. Um, so in Japan they call foreigners gaijin, which is kind of not very nice word. It's kind of like the N word, I
Uh-huh.
think.
Hmm.
But they think they're going to be flyjing, not gaijin. They
Oh,
think they're going to leave the country and not pay the rent, which happens.
I see.
There
Yeah.
was an English teacher, Canadian guy, was here with his kid and he worked for an English school that I was working for when I first came here. He flew the coop.
I see. Yeah, they
Mm.
don't feel
And
any.
the owner of the English school was really angry and had guaranteed the rent and had to put out of his own pocket the money that he skipped out on and stuff. So they're really fussy about renting to people. They're really
Hmm.
fussy unless you're Japanese. Even
I
if you're
see.
a Japanese national and you're
Hmm.
American or English, some people that happens. They're citizen, but they look like foreigners. They even have trouble because it's um, the name is different. When my son was renting up at the university just recently, he changed his apartment. They, is he Japanese? Is he 100%? So
Yeah,
it's a
I
lot of
see.
ways
Wow,
it's
yeah,
like
because
500 years ago here. So renting is out of the question, really. I wouldn't do that.
I see. Actually, that you answered sort of the second question that was of importance here was why don't they rent to foreigners here? And that's you sort of
Why?
answered
Why?
that.
Just because they think they're going to skip out,
Yeah, yeah,
or
like you
put a
said.
hole in the wall, or
Hmm.
light a fire in the middle of in the middle of the living room and cook a wild boar or something. I don't know. They're just so they just. It's not that they hate foreigners.
Uh-huh.
They don't understand. The English is another big factor. It's like
Yeah.
the other day I said I went to this big, furniture store and I was lazy. They put Christmas things where the frames are, so I was very confused. Christmas now? And then so I asked the lady, "Where's your frames?" She almost had an aneurysm. She went like this, you know, because they're just so surprised that you would speak English to. It's kind of rude. I don't know why I did that.
I
I
see.
should speak Japanese to them,
Uh-huh.
but I was so shocked by the Christmas ornaments that it threw me off. But so English is a part of the factor too. People they're so I think it's about 3% of the population speaks English here.
Huh.
That's not good.
I see. Well, that's interesting though. That leads me to think in Japan, I never would have thought they would have Christmas decorations or that much emphasis on it
Oh, that's a
at
whole
all.
nother talk.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a whole nother conversation. But I think that people like you. It's just that they don't want to speak English, and
yeah.
then
Uh-huh.
they think, oh, why didn't I learn in high school? I should have,
Yeah,
But
yeah,
sometimes if you go to Starbucks or something like that, you'll find the one, person. I went to school in Australia for a year. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So now you can speak. So you do find people, but it's very rare.
Huh.
So that's part of the factor. Part of the factor is gaijings become flyjings,
Mm,
and they split and they put a lot of damage. I know the Canadian teacher was a lot of damage in there. It's like
really?
whoa, okay.
Huh.
So I guess we just don't treat things the same way as Japanese people do. I have no idea. It's
Huh.
there are many factors. So which lends me to think that you can buy a house so cheap here, it's cheaper than renting.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that would be.
And then you could rent it out to somebody and you could say no Japanese people. I don't know.
Oh, that's interesting. You could. That's
You know,
actually a good idea. You could part of a.
yeah, you
Part,
could become the landlord or you can hire a management firm. I know the house across the street from me uh, just sold, which is amazing. I've never seen a house sell in my neighborhood,
huh.
and it sold for about $40,000, which used to be these houses were going for $400,000, if you can believe that, during
Yeah.
the big bubble. They call it the Japanese bubble era,
Uh-huh.
where
Uh-huh.
I mean it was like a bubble. I like to say the word bubble, bubble.
Yeah, bubble. Yeah,
He's a
bubble.
bubble
Bubble.
boy.
Bubble.
Anyway, yeah, bubble. So the bubble broke and everything went crazy down, and somebody actually he spoke English, the guy who was remodeling the house, really nice guy. And I went over there. I said, "You need any help or something?" He goes, "No, I can do it myself. I like working myself on these things." And I told him I had built a few houses before and had that experience. But anyway, he put maybe 10 or 15 thousand into it. Just redid the kitchen, redid the bathroom, painted it, fixed it up, poofed it up a little bit. And he rented, I think it's renting for $800 now. So a house rents for about $800. That rents are really cheap.
Huh. Yeah, that's
A nice apartment is like $400.
wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's good to think about that. That's reminds me back in the 80s,
Yeah,
70s.
it's very cheap in Japan, but
Hmm.
don't forget the people make real little money, so
I see.
it sort of balances out. But the students around the student area, you could get rent for 100, 200, $300
Oh,
easily,
that's the 60s now.
like where the university is or something.
Yeah.
Um, so that house is okay. My neighbor's house is not so bad, but he rented it out right away, and
Excuse me.
a couple lives there. So yeah, I think that people rent houses. The Japanese people, they do rent, but by and large, people don't buy properties. They buy condos, and condominiums here, or in New York, they call them stock co-ops, right?
Hmm.
They're called mansions here. I have no idea. Mansion. It sounds so, nice. Mansion. I live in a mansion, but don't let that fool you. It just means condo.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Huh. That's
And
interesting. There's so many
yeah,
cultural things you got to get used to.
yeah. My
Yeah.
my friend just retired, and his wife sadly passed away, and he's in his near his 80s now, and he just bought a mansion downtown, really nice mansion, but it has a nice view, fifth floor, everything's taken care of, car parking, everything. Okay,
Wow.
the association dues for that, I don't know what they call that here. They just go fee. The fee,
Hmm.
the parking and the maintenance fee is $300.
Huh.
That's cheap
Yeah. Oh,
for
yeah.
a condo fee, because I know people that pay thousands of dollars in America for condo fees. You New
Yeah.
Yorkers,
Yeah. We pay 870 where I live. I live in a
that's a
condo.
lot. So
Yeah.
he pays 370 or 380,
Hmm.
and he gets his parking spot and all the maintenance thrown in there. And I probably paid, I don't know, 250, 300,000 for that mansion. It's a nice one. You could buy mansions for 100 grand, and they
Hmm.
sell like hotcakes,
Yeah.
because people want to live by the station. Everything in Japan is by the train station, because
I see.
people are commuting to work, or, the station is like a hub. The station is like, like Hillsdale Mall or something. It's like a mall where you shop, and you get information and restaurants, and the station is like the hub. So
I
everybody
see.
wants to live around that station, and that those are more expensive. Those
Hmm.
condos, I don't know,
Hmm.
more noisy and certainly more congested, but whatever.
Well, you're getting back to the buying. It's like you said, the guy put 10 or 15 grand into his house. So
Mhm.
you get a house for 40 grand, he puts 10 or 15. Do they do
Yep.
they how do they have where does he get it? Do you have to hire a contractor? You said he did it himself. Are there Home Depot stores and places
We
like
have a
that
lot
that
of those
uh
gigantic ones and really good ones.
uh-huh.
Um, uh, yeah, no, he did it himself, and you don't have to get permits or anything like that. They don't. The city doesn't care. Give a flying fig what you
Yeah,
do really
that's
here.
amazing.
Yeah, well, just because they trust people. It's a
Yeah,
trusty society. No
yeah,
one's going to have a live snake den in their house or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
They're not going to cook meth or something. So,
Uh-huh.
um, although there is people, old people will. This isn't digressing, but we have small heaters in our house. We don't. Japan does not have central heating air conditioning system.
Huh.
There's nothing running through the walls.
I
So we
see.
have a little air conditioner or heater you bring into the room and you turn it on. We have air conditioning on the wall, like five of them, because it's hecka hot here in the summer. But
Hmm.
in the wintertime, people just bring this little kerosene heater and they turn it on. A lot of fires,
Yeah.
a lot of house fires, because the drapes catch on fire. I saw one down
Right.
the street. It was amazing. No one was hurt, thankfully. But so that's a hazard of that. Um, but other than that, you know, I think that you don't have to have a permit. You could just do it, and a lot of people do it DIY. The
Oh yeah,
stores are
do it
really set.
yourself. Yeah.
A lot of people do it DIY. There are contractors.
Hmm.
When we remodeled our house, we reformed our house, which was really needed. And after, six kids can wreck. I had six kids here. They
Jeez.
could destroy a house like a rock band destroys the Holiday Inn. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Uh, other than the television set flying off the second floor, uh, I mean they really wrecked it. So we needed a, and me too. I did my share of destruction, but we looked at some old men contractors. Old man here is called Oji-chan. Oji-chan. Oji-chan means like grandfather. So
Hmm.
they call him like Oji-chan contractor, kind of cute. And we went through a lot of Oji-chan contractors coming over here with a pencil in their ear, kind of looking
Hmm.
at
Hmm.
stuff. And that was interesting too. One of them just opened the door to our house and say, "Konnichiwa." Whoa, that happens a lot. They just come right into your house. Okay, gladly, my Smith and Weston is put away. Uh, we don't have that, of course, but people do that. So we got some estimates from them, and that, they were really good. But my wife decided that it would be better. Of course, here the wife is the boss, probably
Hmm.
like everywhere. But she decided that she would rather have a more reputable company
Hmm.
to do the remodeling. And since she was getting the money from her father to do a lot of the remodeling, uh, they both agreed that. they would go with one of the big home companies. And now
I
one of the
see.
big home companies, they subcontract out to some people
I
to
see.
do the work.
With
I
the
was
people
really
they trust.
against it. I
Uh-huh.
was really against that. I said, you should get the Ojichon guy, it's cheaper. But in the end, it turned out it was really good to have the smarter contractor because we ran into some water damage and some things underneath the house, and they fixed it. So
Hmm.
uh yeah, if we had the OG guy, it would have been worse.
I see.
So it was good. It paid
Hmm.
more, got more. And they were early. They came early for the job and they showed up all the time and it was so nice and so great. It was really a pleasant experience. And they did the kitchen first and then we had a bathroom. We'd go out to eat, and then they did the bathroom, and then we'd have to go to one of those, you know, bath houses to take a bath. So they did it in sections, which was nice.
Huh. That's fascinating. So,
It was
yeah,
livable.
I'm looking down because I'm seeing my list of questions here that are
Yeah,
very important here. So I don't mean to be
go ahead.
distracting.
Go ahead.
But well, what are some of the things you look for if you're going to buy a house? Then, uh,
Well, I think one of the things you have to ask yourself is why? Why do you want to come to Japan? I mean, you could go to France, you could go to live in New Zealand or which is pretty good, or
hmm
I wouldn't live in Australia, but New Zealand is really good. Uh, I- you'd have to ask yourself why Japan? It's like of all places, I don't think it's the best place for somebody unless they really like the culture or they really like Japanese people or they're married to a Japanese spouse. Uh, then maybe it makes sense. But I don't know if I would come here if I didn't know, you know what I mean? I think there's too many negatives to moving here. Uh, they are cheap houses, but you have to have a really clear cut goal of why you want to do that. I think. I mean,
I
if you
see.
were a musician, or an artist, or a writer or something like that, and you
Hmm
want to be left alone, and you want it
hmm
quiet, this is a place.
I
It
see.
is so quiet here at night. Coming from San Francisco, it took a while for me to get used to that kind of quiet. You hear
hmm
nothing except an owl or something or an
I see.
earthquake brewing. That's it. Yeah, there's nothing. So that's nice. And I would say the neighbors are really nice. It took a while to win them over,
hmm
but they're mostly 90% really, really nice. And I like it now. Yeah, I
hmm
like it. Yeah, I like it better than maybe New Zealand would be. I think the weather is very good here. I
hmm
mean, they always say, "Oh, weather is terrible." We
Well,
have
you mentioned it was
typhoons
hot.
and
It's
well,
hot
yeah, it's
there.
very hot in the summer.
Yeah.
But most like 8 months of the year, it's not so rainy.
hmm
It's not a real rainy place like Dublin or Vancouver or
hmm
New Zealand or
Right.
Sweden or something. It's clear and nice, beautiful, especially in the autumn. The autumn months, October, November, December are beautiful here. And 70 degrees, clear, beautiful.
hmm
So there are some good advantages of living here. Quiet, nice people, nice neighbors. You don't have to worry about crime. You could leave your door open, if you want to. Having children here, they could play in the street. No one's going to run them over. No one's going to kidnap them.
hmm
Um,
hmm
there's nature, especially around my house, just complete, utter bamboo forests and,
Wow.
really nature,
Yeah.
thick nature. So if you like nature and you want to be left alone and you want to make some friends and maybe you're by yourself or you're with, I don't know. And if those are true, then this is a good place.
I see. So if you had a
But
family
yeah,
though, if you we have a peanut gallery here that I don't know if you heard that. Someone very enthusiastic about football. So we have to.
oh, I didn't hear that.
Oh, you didn't know. I'm sorry. I just brought it up. But there was a anyway. So let's see. Well, I actually have a question just propped up. So you mentioned having kids. If you had kids, what about the schools and stuff? Are
Oh,
they
schools are great. Yeah, fantastic.
and they accept other kids besides Japanese, okay, and stuff like
Oh
that?
yeah, we had no problems. I've
Uh,
heard of problems, but we never. I avoided them by switching schools, which they say you can't do, but I did it. Uh, yeah, I was a really pleasant experience raising kids here, and I
uh-huh.
just met some lady from Minnesota whose husband manages the some sports team here, and she's been here like they've been here off and on 15 years. They have four kids. They're not Japanese; they're from Minnesota. But
I see. Yeah.
yeah, they like the schools very much. So I think they're very accepted. They, of course, all speak Japanese very well, like my kids do.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So the kids is good. But I mean, if you were going to, let's say you were sick of the United States and you needed some break for a couple of months and you wanted to buy a house for 40, 50 grand or something, and you wanted to get away from it for 3 months a year, they give you 3 months to stay here on a no visa situation, on a just travel visa. Yeah, you could chill out for 3 months, do some music, paint, whatever you wanted
Hmm.
to do.
Hmm.
Just relax, go see some temples. It's really a chill place, you
I
know?
see.
Yes, totally. More than Europe is, I think.
Huh.
Because really, some of those temples are so beautiful in the parks and the nature. The nature's unbelievable here. It's just untouched.
Huh.
Very close to wherever you may be. I would never recommend Tokyo, or one of the big cities, but outside of those areas is better.
I see. Well, so it's like a paradise if you're writing a novel or
Oh
music or
yeah, yeah.
something.
People would leave you alone, and you'd be close enough to go shopping. They even deliver food here.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, yeah. I mean, you don't want to be so far away that you're not connected. The people I've heard they give you a farmhouse, but that's like some so rural place. There's not even electricity or gas or anything. You
Wow.
can't live like that.
Uh-huh.
There's a
Uh-huh.
lot of YouTubes you could check out too about people take a house in the mountains and turn it into something. I mean, that's not. I want to be somewhat connected to us. I
Yeah.
want to be within 5 kilometers of a Starbucks.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I have to. I'm sorry. I like my Starbucks, and that doesn't change. Or Tully's or something. I need that. I need some access to cafe or shopping. I can't be that remote, but we're pretty remote. We're pretty
Hmm. Hmm.
remote.
Where you
Yeah.
are, I see.
Yeah, we're about 30 minutes from like any central city. So, but there's a bus system, and certainly when you get to the train station, when I teaching at university, the train system was really good to the
Hmm.
university. So
Hmm.
that was good.
So that was another question that really came up a lot was what are some of the good areas in Japan? So you're sort of answering that
Well,
now.
I think scuba is very nice. That
Oh,
doesn't mean scuba diving, but it's scuba, spelled TSU something something.
uh-huh.
Scuba City is north of Tokyo, and it's called the Science City. It's where the rocket program is, like the Japanese NASA is
I see.
located there, and it's a really cool place. And the university is super good there, and it looks like Los Angeles. It has like kind of a Los Angeles feel, and
Hmm.
there's Scuba Mountain, which is really nice. That's a nice place. They have
Hmm.
tornadoes once in a while.
Oh,
They
interesting.
have some earthquakes, but by
Hmm.
and large, it's a pretty safe place, and you're very close to Tokyo. They even have a special train. I've never been on it, but it's I think 30 minutes to Tokyo, which is really fast.
So you
You
really
know,
don't need a car if you're in Japan that much.
no, no, I don't think so. I mean, I think out here you do. People have motorcycles too. A lot of
Hmm.
my neighbors have motorcycles. Kind of midlife crisis motorcycles. Um, but yeah, you need a car. I stopped driving a couple of years ago. Uh, I'm 67 now, and I just find it I'm a little nervous driving, on the other side of the road, and
I see.
I'm
Yeah.
just not a very good driver. So, my wife doesn't like my driving. My kids hate my driving. So I just, you know,
Hmm.
we don't have Uber here, but we find a friend burr.
A friend bird. That's a good thing
Yeah,
to keep.
somebody, could you drive me to? So I think that the doctors are pretty good here, and of course the medical is really cheap here and pretty good, and they speak English. But if you were going to move out of the country because you didn't like Trump or some stupid thing, you want to get out of America, you want to try something new. This would be a cool place if you like the culture, if
Yeah.
you like
So that
pottery,
seems like the key.
if you like Japanese art or you like the culture. I think rather than Tokyo, any countryside around those places, around Kobe or around Tokyo or around whatever, is going to be really cool.
Hmm.
Kamakura is really cool.
Hmm.
Kamakura is about 1 hour south of Tokyo. It's on the water, and it's beautiful, a beautiful city, and a little more expensive, of course, but really nice.
Hmm.
Really
Hmm.
cool houses and
Hmm.
really beautiful. Very crowded with tourists in the summer. But Kamakura is one of the best places. Kyoto is fantastic, but
Hmm.
Kyoto, the houses are very small,
Hmm. Interesting.
and you
Huh.
can see a lot of YouTubes about There's one Swedish guy who's building houses in Kyoto and, remodels those houses. Yeah, I think it's a little small for me. Kyoto's a little densely populated. I love Kyoto, but not to live, you know.
Yeah, I
I would
see.
pick I would pick somewhere like around Kamakura, around the neighborhoods around there, the suburbs around Kamakura, or around Scuba City. Those are really
Hmm.
nice. All the places around Scuba are super nice in the mountains. On the other side of the mountain, of that mountain, Mount Scuba, it's kind of like
Hmm.
Mount Tamalpais high,
Hmm. Hmm.
about that, a little bit higher. And around that mountain is really cool houses. It's so cheap land,
Hmm.
you know. So
Interesting.
cheap. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's,
what.
it's
Remember,
so
I talked
fascinating.
to
The
you.
whole thing is fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I had that idea before about buying some land up in that area and building a recording studio there and a place
Uh-huh.
for the band to stay or the musicians to stay. And it's pretty close to Tokyo. They could bring it, but after Billie Eilish, recorded her album on a Mac in her bedroom. I think that kind of killed studios forever there. So, but anyway, but yeah, that's always cool because the land is so cheap. The house, you're not really buying the house. You're buying the land here. The house can be torn down pretty easily, and they do that a lot.
Well, that brings up can you actually buy? I know some countries you you actually can't officially 100% buy the land.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
can.
but you
Sure,
actually have the title,
of
and
course.
you can
Yeah,
bequeath it. You can sell it. You
yeah,
still
absolutely.
it's not like some kind of hidden lease deal for
No, no,
99
no, no,
years or
no,
anything like
not
that.
like Hawaii or something. No, no,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
no, no. Land is super cheap here, and you can build whatever you want. And they make these cube houses, which are really cool. They're like look like a cube, but they're very cool inside. And they have a roof garden on top. You could have them make you a zero cube or cube house for
Hmm.
100 grand.
I
So
see.
you buy the land for 30, 40, 50 grand at tops, and then you buy the house for 100. So you're into it for 150 and you have a brand new cool house on a
I see.
cool land. So land is super cheap. That was my idea about around Mount Scuba. Get three cube houses.
Hmm.
One for the studio, one for me, and one for the visiting musicians.
Yeah.
Which I would have probably none.
Well, they don't have
But
Macintoshes, and they can make their home.
yeah, they could do it in their own house. Um, uh, it wasn't like the days when I had my studio where it was just fully booked, 24
Uh,
hours a day practically.
huh. Wow, that's amazing.
But anyway, um, I think that there are some advantages of living anywhere out of the United States, such as New Zealand is great, except that you better bring an umbrella there.
Uh-huh.
It's pretty rainy, but people are really nice in New Zealand, and there's more access to marijuana if that's interesting to you,
I
because
see.
here there's absolutely no marijuana. It's no, it's
Very hard,
impossible, and we don't.
very strong drug
Very
laws.
strong. That might change eventually. I heard Thailand went to recreational marijuana. Now they're
Uh-huh.
changing back to medical marijuana. And medical marijuana may come here at some point. But
Yeah,
this is not a place to come if you're into smoking dope
I
or
see.
something.
Uh-huh.
I
Uh-huh.
never did that.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's New Zealand is better for that.
Yeah, I'd hate to
And New
buy a
Zealand
house
has
and
great wine.
uh-huh.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
lot
that's
of
like
great
how
wines.
you're bringing up so many things that could
It
elicit
just depends
questions and
what you're
stuff.
interested in. I
Yeah.
would recommend buying a house somewhere, but it depends what you're interested in. I
Uh-huh.
know that in New Zealand, when I went there a couple of times, when I first went there was bargains everywhere, but now it's expensive. Auckland's very expensive
Yeah, yeah.
now.
Well, so many Americans have gone there. They just
Well,
don't
yeah,
know.
it's nice. It's a nice place. People are
Hmm.
friendly, and you have the marijuana if you want it,
Hmm.
and a lot of wine, and people come to your house and drink knock on the door and everybody's drinking wine and smoking up. It's really a social place. Here, nobody comes to your house. That's
Hmm.
forbidden in Japan. You
Interesting.
can't, dinner party does not exist here. It's really
Fascinating.
interesting. Yeah, they don't do that. They don't share your house with them. They never invite you to their house and you never invite them. I had to learn that the hard way, kind of.
Huh.
And there are no dinner parties. If you want to meet somebody, you go to a restaurant, a bar or restaurant, which is called an izakaya. And you go to an izakaya, which is very comfortable, and they have all kinds of foods. And the izakaya acts as a living room.
I see.
There might be a
It,
couch
so
and a
people
fire or
so
something.
people are really into privacy, basically. They
Hmm
just so
I
that's
think it's because people have a bunch of newspapers they haven't recycled, and
Yeah.
maybe there's a cockroach in there or something. They don't want people to see, they don't want people to see, uh, and that brings me to my next problem, and is we have a real pest problem here in the countryside in the summertime. We have a lot of deadly insects, bees, killer bees,
Hmm.
and a very vicious snake. And they're everywhere. They've come in my house. I've been stung before, and the bees will kill you if they sting you. So,
Oh,
and
great.
they're out there. Yeah, they're out there everywhere. So you
And
have to
they're big, aren't they?
be.
The killer bees are big.
They're big. They're like that big, man.
Oh
They're
God.
huge, and they're aggressive. So
Uh-huh.
everything here is aggressive, and so you have to have a lot of sprays with you, and you have to be very conscientious about holes in the walls and breaks in the screen and stuff like. You have to be really, really think what you're doing because it's maybe not in the city so much, but in the countryside, there's snakes will come right in your house or
Really?
whatever. So you have to be careful.
Boy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
You
you
have
can
to be
really
really
see there's a
careful.
lot of different sides to this. There's in some ways it can be a paradise for some people, but others could be
I think
totally
it's a paradise if you prepare yourself, if
hmm
you prepare for the insect invasion, if you prepare yourself for mosquitoes, bats,
bats.
badgers. We have badgers, man. They'll fuck you up.
Really?
Those things, weasels, bats, snakes. It's like the Hall of Science in San Francisco. You remember the Hall of
Yeah, oh
Science?
yeah, yeah.
This is like the Hall of Science here. You
Except they're
know,
alive
uh,
running around.
yeah. And I got bit very badly. So, yeah, I don't want to talk about that. But anyway, um, you have to really prepare yourself for that. And of course, some people, as my sister was very, very deadly scared of earthquakes.
Hmm.
I don't mind them. I was in the earthquake in the marina in '89, and it was bad, but uh, I'm used to earthquakes, so there was a lot of them here, maybe every day or every other day. There's a pretty good one. So, and once in a while, there's a really good one. And so, if you really are scared of earthquakes, this is not the place.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I see. So you
there's
gotta that would add to building the house a little sturdier too. I mean,
oh,
there's
the houses are yeah, they will stand. Most
yeah,
most will withstand it.
yeah.
I mean, unless the earthquake was like a 9 or something.
Uh-huh. So that's
But
interesting. What times that you mentioned a little bit about the seasons and all that kind of thing. There's some times of the year that you absolutely would not want to be in Japan. Does it depend where you are in Japan, or is it?
well, it starts with the rainy season. That's not a monsoon. It's like in India or Thailand. That's a rain coming through. I've been in the
Hmm.
monsoon in Thailand. It's kind of interesting. But here, the rainy season starts in June. It's just the rain kind of circles around Japan, and there's no wind from China blowing it out.
I see.
So it just keeps turning around and around in circles.
I see.
So it's like a low pressure trough, and
Uh-huh.
so it's rainy every day in June. That's when you get your bugs.
I see.
That's when the bugs make their move, and um, so after the rainy season, then starts the hot weather in July. It
Hmm.
starts around 80, and then August around 90, and now in the mid August you're going up to 104, 112,
Uh-huh.
118.
Oh, brother.
Yeah, because the humidity pushes that temperature up and a lot of things. So then what happens is the typhoon or the hurricane, basically, we have maybe 13 or 14 hurricanes a year.
Wow.
Some miss us,
Yeah.
Taiwan or something
Yeah.
go off the ocean, but a couple of them go through Japan. They blow out all that hot weather. It's cool.
Interesting.
And it's like
Huh.
a weather redo.
I
And then
see.
end of September, the weather starts to drop.
I see. Like, yeah,
Like
you
today,
mentioned that. Yeah.
today is 71 degrees, 72 degrees, which is still pretty nice for November.
Yeah.
But now you're not going to get the humidity. The humidity is
Hmm.
gone. It's
Hmm.
dry.
Hmm.
The humidity is what causes the trouble. Humidity is what causes your walls to mess up and it's horrible. You feel horrible in that kind of humidity.
Oh,
It,
sure.
it feels like Hawaii times 10, man.
Yeah.
Hawaii is like, oh, this is nice. It's so tropical.
Yeah.
But this is like, Manila on a bad day.
Hmm.
So in that way, it's very humid. You'd never want to come here in August. August is, yeah. People will ask you, how many summers have you been here? It's like a rite of passage for foreigners.
I see.
I just
Is
tighten
that for
up
the
and
whole country or is it just certain areas? It's the whole country,
it's all
basically.
over the place.
I see.
Certainly even north, like Hokkaido, even gets getting hot now. So, but humidity is really the factor. Not so much the heat, but the humidity plus the temperature. And if you could tighten up and for a month or two, three, then come October, November, December, oh, it's just beautiful. And then a little cold, and then March, April, May, it's going to be beautiful again. And
I
then,
see.
oh, the rainy season. And the rainy season is dreaded by everybody here. Everybody hates the rainy season. It's just depressing or something. I don't mind. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm on guard with my bug spray.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, you
So
said the
that's
bugs.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
There were some disadvantages of living here: earthquakes, insects, snakes, natural disasters, tornadoes, lightning storms. There's some nature. Nature is the bitch here, right? But
Yeah.
there's no smash and grabs. There's no carjackings. There's no
Mm-hmm.
bad
Mm-hmm.
people.
What about the
People are
islands?
appreciative.
That's a question I have. I was always wondering about, because isn't there a lot of islands, little small islands in
I
Japan?
don't know. I'm
You,
sure that that'd be worse bug situation. I mean,
yeah,
I only
yeah.
judge it by what kind of how many bugs there would be there.
So you're talking
Uh,
about more about the mainland Japan,
No, I think it all comes down to the cockroach here is so large, and
yeah,
everything is geared to eat the cockroach. So everything has to be big and fast to get the cockroach. So you have to keep cockroaches out of your house,
I see.
and it's a vicious cycle in the summer. And um, of course, my girls scream and everything every time they see something like that. We don't get them so much anymore
Well, if you
because
seal
we
up your house,
protected it.
pretty well,
I've
right?
sealed it up. Yeah,
Yeah.
and plus after the reforming or remodeling, they don't come so much anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Fascinating. Wow.
yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
there's
It
so
is.
much.
But we don't have bad people by and large. I would be the worst person here probably. Um, I'm the bad guy. So that's not so bad because I'm not that bad. I'm not that good either, but I'm not that bad. So um, anybody's watching, go, yeah, that Rossi guy, he's